Hello there, it's Samantha. So today I'm coming to you with my February wrap-up. So in the month of February, I managed to read 5 books and 1 novella, but let's just count that as 6 books. So the first book that I finished in February was one that I knew I was going to finish because I was absolutely loving it in January, and I finally finished it. It took me way too long because I started it in December, then I really started reading it a lot more in January, and I finally finished it in February. And that book was Airfire by Sarah J. Maas, the 3rd book in the Throne of Glass series. Now, if you've been on my channel before, you know that I love the Throne of Glass series, but for some reason, after reading Crown of Midnight, I didn't immediately pick this one up. I bought it at the same time that I read Crown of Midnight, but I didn't read it at that time because, I don't know, I think school was busy, you know, the usual excuse. And then in the summer, I read the novellas, and then finally I picked this up in December, but I finally read this book, and I loved it. Oh my god. It was so good. I really loved the development of the world in this book. I feel like you just found out so much more, and I really liked the friendship between 2 characters in this book, and it was just great, and I just loved everything about this book, and I actually think that this one is my favorite in this series. A lot of people prefer Queen of Shadows. I do think that it gets better with each installment, but for me, I feel like my enjoyment was highest in this book so far. If that makes sense. I will say that the beginning part of this book is a little bit slow, but once you get past that first 100 pages, it's amazing. I did actually like the different points of view in this book. I know that a lot of people had trouble with Manon's point of view. It's Manon, isn't it? I'm saying it wrong. It's Manon. I didn't have a problem with her chapters at all, but I know that some people have problems with her chapters in this book, but I loved it. I loved everything about it. Obviously, this was a 5 out of 5 stars book, and I cannot wait for the next one. And by the next one, I mean the 5th one, because I've read the 4th one and you're about to hear that. Oh, spoilers. This book also completed my January challenge of reading a book that someone recommended to me. The next book that I read, speaking of my TBR challenge, was Let It Snow by John Green, Lauren Miracle, and Maureen Johnson. I finished this book in the month of February. I'd already started it in December, but hadn't got around to finishing it, and I really didn't think I was going to. I just wasn't enjoying it that much. Overall, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, and I did actually like this book quite a bit, but if I ever reread it, I'll only be reading the first 2 stories because the last story sucked, in my opinion. So I gave the first story, The Jubilee Express, which was by Maureen Johnson, 4 out of 5 stars. Next, we have A Cheer-tastic Christmas Miracle by John Green, and I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. And finally, the last story, The Patron Saint of Pigs by Lauren Miracle. I gave that story a 1.5 out of 5 stars, which was generous. And I read this book to complete my February TBR challenge of reading a book that is being turned into a movie this year, because apparently in December this is becoming a movie. Next, we move on to one of my favorite books ever written, and this is like tied with Airfire. I know I said Airfire was my favorite, but they're pretty much tied. And that one is, of course, Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. I adored this book, apart from everything to do with Kale. Kale is so annoying in this book. He just, his character changes completely, and I really didn't like him in this book, which was really frustrating because I loved him in the other ones. But in this book, he pissed me off to no end. There's a lot that I can't say about this book, but I wish I had made book talks for the other 3 books in the series because there was so much that I wanted to say for this book. It was amazing, and I loved all the point of views apart from Kale's. I already said that I didn't love him in this book, but I loved everything else, and obviously I give it 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was one that I started ages ago. I'm pretty sure I started this book in September, and I was originally sent this book for review from netgalley.com in exchange for an honest review, and I do actually have a review filmed. I will link it down below for you. That is Lying Out Loud by Cody Keplinger. I gave this book a 2.75 out of 5 stars. I found myself getting really frustrated with the main character in this book, and I just wasn't a huge fan of the plot overall. The next book that I read was actually a reread for me, and I listened to the majority of this on audiobook, and that is The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. The first time I read this book was in about September of 2014, so it was when I was fairly new on BookTube, and I haven't done a review of it. However, I do plan on doing a review, which will be the book versus the movie. I'm just waiting until I can see the movie, so who knows when that's going to be, but I will probably be writing a review for my blog. More about that later. But I loved it the first time around. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and this time I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I found the characters to be so annoying the second time around. Mainly the main character, because she just changes so much when certain events happen, and not in a good way. There will be more about that in my review, which is going to come at some point, probably. And the final book that I read is tiny, and it's actually a novella, and it is called Kindred Spirits by Rainbow Rowell. Now, can we just appreciate how tiny this book is? Oh my god. This book was pretty cute. It's a novella. I don't know why I keep on calling it a book, but let's just call it a book since I've read 6 books this month. In England, there's the World Book Day, and we get a book token for £1, and you can either go and buy a book, which is £1, and get it for free, or you can get £1 off with this book voucher. So this was one of the books that you could get for free, so of course I picked it up. Added bonus, it's about Star Wars. If you know me, you know that recently I became obsessed with Star Wars. I absolutely love it. Can we just appreciate my background? Can you see? Kindred Spirits is about Star Wars. It's about the release of the new Star Wars, and it's about a girl who's waiting in line for the next one, and she's waiting there for like 4 days. It's so short, but I really enjoyed it. I only gave it 4 out of 5 stars though, because it was just way too short for me. I just needed more. If you're interested in Star Wars and Rainbow Rowell and cutesiness, pick it up. Before I go, I just want to choose out of my TBR jar for the month. Okay, I'm gonna close my eyes because last time I got a green one. I don't want a green one again. Okay, we have a polka dot one. Exciting stuff. And for this month, my challenge... is to read a sci-fi novel. For this one, I will probably end up reading Cress because I didn't read that last month and that was my original plan. So that's going to all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you all very soon with another video. Bye! Hello there, it's Samantha. Hello there, it's Samantha, and today I'm going to be doing my February words.